Hi everybody. So today's video I'm going to be talking about parasites, and I mean parasitic energies within the spiritual realms, what they are, how to identify them, how to protect yourself, what happens, all that stuff. I have a playlist about this, about spiritual hygiene and spiritual warfare. I have previously spoken about something called Wetigo. Wetigo is a Native American term for this, a term that I didn't even know about up until I was led to learn about this from my personal journey and my experience with Hecate. So whether you want to understand this the exact same as me, that's on you. You don't have to, okay? But I am going to give you guys my personal gnosis on this, what I have experienced, some of it recent as well, what to look out for, and what you can do to help yourself, okay? I did make a video previously on the Wetigo. I still stand by what I said, but some of it isn't quite right, which I will address in this video. So let's get into it. For my introduction, I'm just going to say a big welcome to everyone, new and not so new. Everyone's welcome here. I am Sarah, that divination witch, and this is a community. I've built it up to help each other. I like to try and think it is a safe space, but we don't tolerate crap, but you're free to ask questions and share things. That's what we want here. And if you would like to support me and the channel, my links are in the description. I'd be grateful if you could have a look. I offer lots of different readings. I've got Patreon. Thank you. So my previous video, when I discovered Wetigo, I explained that it was like this otherworldly, other universe even force. And I felt that it was the one thing that was tearing us all down. And while it is tearing us down, it's not what I thought. So let me explain. This may sound a bit wild, but do your own research on this as well and come to your own conclusion. This is my understanding and the best and simplest way I can break this down. So, our universe, our known existence is not quite what it seems. Yes, there are many conspiracy theories talking about how we live in a matrix. I am not one of those people. However, I do think now that there is a grain of salt in that. I used to be the sort of person, to be honest, that would dismiss anyone who had any kind of spiritual belief, even like me. I would laugh at them. I would say all of this is shit. Maybe it is, but no, it's not. I am not saying they're completely wrong, but I'm not saying they're completely right either. There is something in that, okay? There is something about our existence, our reality, that is keeping us down, that is stopping us from moving on, ascending. Other people will say it's the elites and satanic rituals and they're doing this, that, the other. Again, I am not saying they're completely wrong with that, but I don't think it's what people like to say on the internet. I think it is a conspiracy, but I'm not saying they're completely wrong. Now, in some religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, others, they talk about life being, a cycle, that, we will go through lessons that we have to learn from and we reincarnate, etc. The Hindus, I believe, call it samsara, the wheel of life. Us essentially ascending is breaking that wheel. It's, I guess, what the Buddhists would call achieving nirvana. And, they've got their beliefs that transcend my existence. But I don't think it's, again, completely about being, completely detached, completely selfless and all of this. Although that, yeah, there's good stuff in that, of course, but I don't think it's just that. That's my opinion. But yes, I agree that we are stuck in a cycle. We are kept down on purpose. That purpose, whatever it may be, is not a good one. That's what I will say, and I do strongly feel that. Whether it is something or someone's nefarious reasons, or whether it's just the way it is, that this is what we've got. I know that sounds depressing, but it's not good. It's to me, it's just not good. I just don't feel it's good. Now, if you look into Gnosticism, there's a few creators that have been talking about it on this app, and there's one who is very popular and sensationalizes it a lot. But if you want to learn it in a nutshell, I believe it's Morg Official. Again, some of what Morg says is true, but again, I take it with a pinch of salt. And I expect you guys to do that with me too, because that's critical thinking. We need more of that. Critical thinking, make your mind up, right? But I have noticed he does sensationalise things for views, but good on him, whatever. But within Gnosticism, he talks about it a lot. If you're a starter, okay. Gnosticism was a spin-off of an Abrahamic religion. There is Christian Gnostics. There are different types of Gnostics. I believe there was Jewish Gnostics. But it was the Abrahamic tradition spin-off, okay? And when you hear people say about the God of the Old Testament is not the true God, well, there is some truth in that. So the Gnostics believe that our universe is not the true universe, that Pistis Sophia, aka the supposed goddess of wisdom, created this universe because from the actual creator, the aeons, aka the gods, different archetypal deities that you find throughout different pantheons. You've got gods of war, gods of love, gods of wisdom. You know, those different gods. There's always a god and a goddess appearing to create more. All right. If you think of like the Hellenic gods, look at the family trees of the gods. That's a prime example. Okay. But within Gnostic tradition, they believe that Sophia took it upon herself to try and create the perfect universe, that she didn't need her counterpart to do this. She wanted a world with no suffering. Well, that's not possible because it's a natural part of the universe kind of thing, life and death, you know. So she had a child by herself. That child was born malformed, vengeful and nasty. It's often depicted with the head of a lion and the body of a serpent. Its name is Yaldabaoth, aka the Demiurge. It was an abomination that wasn't meant to be. And she locked it away in its own little pocket universe, which is supposed to be ours. Okay, now again, please take this with pinches of salt. Okay, but this is their story. Now, Yaldabaoth had his own servants, aka the Archons, that kept him in check, and they were, loyal to him. And Yaldabaoth, whether he knew any better or not, said that he was the one true God and no other gods before him, hence the Old Testament dude. And he started creating his own life, and is the way it goes. And as time rolls on, there's more in depth to this. Eventually we come along. And the Archons are kind of like, imagine Yaldabaoth is the prison warden, the head of the prison, because it feels like a prison, that's why I'm making the comparison. And the Archons are the prison guards, keeping us down. They're powerful beings though, very powerful. Now, in some respects, you could call them demons, I suppose. And it pains me because some of the deities I work with myself, as named as archons. Do I think that's true? No. That's why I take things with pinches of salt, but I do think there's some truth in this, that there is some sort of energy out there, whether it is archons and him or whether it's something else, whatever you want to label it. A Christian may label it Satan. But there is an adversarial energy out there that wants to keep us suppressed and down. And this is where people with conspiracy theories about celebrities and, all this jazz, look, I'm not saying it's totally wrong, but I do think some of it's far-fetched as hell. And I do think some of it's BS. But I do know from my feelings, from my experience, that there is something out there that doesn't want us to know more, that wants to keep us down and wants to control us and distract us. Hence, with the rise of capitalism and not just capitalism, but, other things, problems in the world. I'm not going to get political here. It's not what this is about, but there's always something, is what I'm saying. There's always something to answer to. There's always something keeping us down, some sort of condition. Hence why I believe, with teachings like Buddhism, detachment, I guess is where it comes from. So, with that in mind, there is an energy. There is an energy that doesn't want us to ascend, because ascending is breaking the wheel. Ascending is getting out of here. It's going back to the true source, the true God, the true meaning of life. And yes, there are many religions, many conspiracy theories, many fringe beliefs that take this and run with it. But whatever you want to label it, in its core, in its nutshell, is there is something not nice that doesn't want us to ascend. Now that energy, I've seen it in action with people of all walks of life. Religious people, the people that are like, oh, God, praise Jesus, I'll go to hell. That kind of stuff is part of it. The love and lighters, who are meant to be all light and dismiss anything bad, and just as bad, just as bad as that. And even on the left-hand path, I've seen it. It affects them differently because it's people who are so arrogant and ego-driven that they think they know everything and you're disposable to them. There are many like that. There are many who write books, and I wish I could say names, but I can't. But there are many like that, that I've accidentally stirred the pot with, and I've felt the whiplash of that energy. That's how I know. I'm like, oh, all I can say is like some kind of possession. It really is. It's like something has gripped them. And I've felt it. The energy is what I'll just call it, the energy. Try it with me. As in, bolstering ego, as in getting you to be a prick, selfish. Empathy. It lacks empathy. Sorry for choking. And I'm going to keep that in actually, because I was fine. It feels like something's like trying to get me to stop. You see, when love and light is talk about the light, okay? The light to me is empathy, and that's not just a love and light thing. That can be anyone. You, as long as you're a decent human and have compassion, that light, it's attracted to, it wants to snuff it out to keep us down. Because if we lack empathy, and if we're dog eat dog, nasty people, we're in the rat race, we're in the cycle. And a lot of people just are. I used to be numb to this at one point. You just go to work, you pay your way, you do your thing. And you're just a hamster on a wheel. I used to be like that too. And that's that energy as well. It's not always extreme, but it will bolster the ego and get you to lack compassion. It wants to steal your empathy. Now, where to go? Where does this come in? Where does parasitic energies and stuff come in? Well, just like in the physical world, there are byproducts of things. Now, what I was shown by Hecate when I first went down this rabbit hole of all of this was It was like an otherworldly bloody portal full of like wormy looking squiddy things and evil things. And I can, it makes me feel sick thinking about it. I have a whole video on it. I still stand by the information I gave in that video. It's still useful. But I thought the Wettigo energy, the parasite energy, was this suppressive energy. I've been calling it false light energy or accusal energy. That's my name for it. So the false god, the false light energy, I thought was Wettigo as well. I thought they were both the same. They're not, okay? Wettigo is a byproduct that goes hand in hand with that. It's a bottom feeder. It's like, even in a good way, you know what's in my head? You know, like when you get whales and big sharks that have the little fish that clean them and like swim along with them. You know, it's like that. It's a scavenger. That's the word I'm looking for. It may be something from another universe, because what I saw was like, it was like something out of control that we couldn't stop. And I do stand by that too. She did show me like, look, it sounds crazy, that video, it really does, that this stuff can impact us all, living, dead, everything, which I'm going to get into in a second, okay, if we don't do something about it, all right? But this parasitic crap is a byproduct. Now, Wettigo, I was only led to that because I explained it in the video. I was shown this stuff. When I say shown, it's through my psychic gifts, by Hecate. I've experienced this stuff in the past, not knowing what it is. Us witches, you'll hear us say trickster spirits. I just thought it was that. I always knew there was weird entities out there and low-level entities and things that want to feed off our energy. Again, a demon is what the Christians would say. I'm not dismissing that, but they're not the demons I know, okay? But I do think the parasitic entities, whatever you want to call it. So I was led down this rabbit hole of understanding it more. And I stumbled across a guy called Paul Levy. He's got 3 books on this. Paul Levy is a Buddhist, I believe. He talks about Wettigo and it being a mind virus. And he talks about his experience with it. And lo and behold, the first thing I see is that he calls it a vampire, because it kind of is. It's like a parasite, a leech, takes our energy. And he said it looked like a squid, and it blew my mind, because I'm like, this guy has experienced the same thing as me. I'm sure he's got interviews on YouTube. Look him up. Like I say, he's not a witch. He's got his understanding of it. And whatever you want to label things, label it what you want. But we can't deny that there is something that is parasitic in nature. It is a byproduct. And again, check out that other video I did. The byproduct can just be like residue, what the Greeks would call miasma. Evil eye, I suppose, bad energy, just gunk. It can be like that. It can be low-level stuff, like the little squiddy looking things. It can be higher intelligences as well that look like shadow beings that can kind of talk back. They aren't like fully intelligent. It's like a hive mind thing. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just something like a mimic. People call them that as well. That's a, if you look it up, it's a thing. That's, I guess, what a trickster spirit is. It doesn't really have that many brains, but it's something that has more power, it's been feeding longer, so it manifests different. You know, there's different levels to it. I've also seen massive ones in depends where you are, in giant groups, and I will explain this more in a bit. But yes, all right, there's different levels of them, different powers, you could say different strengths of them, okay? And they feed off us, they feed off our energy, they can attach to us, they can attach on our chakras as well. Common place is back of the neck, near to your throat chakra, to the crown chakra, and your solar, not your solar plexus, the other one, sacral chakra, sexual energies. Yeah, they can attach to us, they can attach to our auric field. I explain all this in the original video, so go have a look, okay? that information is still the same. It can affect, and it does affect, us humans. Magical, spiritual, and mundane people. Again, it doesn't care what your religion is. You can call on Jesus, you can call on Hecate or anyone. It doesn't give a shit. Now, I'm not saying there isn't power in the name of Jesus, because I'm not dismissing that. There is also power in other names, though, as well. Hecate, or, I don't know, there could be power in Shiva, as an example. It's not limited to one God, because it's not to say the being, like one being's more powerful than the other. All right, I'm not here to have a competition. It's our belief behind something. If you believed in the flying spaghetti monster being your God, your saviour, then it would get scared at that, because it's you, it's your conviction, your energy doing it, you know. But again, I talk more about this in that original video, about how to fight them off and how to identify them, keeping on top of spiritual hygiene, doing banishings, okay, stuff like that. Now, it can attach to anyone. You can be doing your daily shopping, you know, I don't know, in the supermarket. Random people can have attachments. Random people can bring this energy to you. Colleagues, you know, have you ever heard of, oh, well, I use the expression mood hoover. You know, if you've ever had a colleague, if you've worked in an office and someone comes in a bad mood, and then everyone's in a bad mood because it's spread around. And it's this spreads around like a virus. Paul Levy, the guy with the books, he calls it a mind virus, and it is. If we can catch things like the common cold, if we can catch, you know, diseases, however small, if we can catch germs in the physical plane, we can catch germs in the spiritual plane too. As above, so below. You'll have probably heard of that. It's a hermetic principle, and it is very true. What happens in the spiritual mirrors in the physical, and vice versa. Now, it is not just human beings that are affected by this, not just the living anyways. The dead can be affected by it too. And as a Hecatean witch, I do deal with the dead. I do speak with spirits. I help move them on. I do readings. Even to those that aren't lost, that people just want to read in with their loved one or something, like I do that. Generally speaking, it's lost souls that have this issue, and I feel bad for them. A lost soul, I've done videos on this, but a lost soul is somebody who can't move on, essentially, for whatever reason. Unfinished business, maybe they died really suddenly, maybe they had a tragic death, you name it. They are stuck in limbo, essentially, in the material plane, but on a spiritual level. They are ghosts, right? And if you are a lost soul, normally, not always, but there is a lot of sadness around that, okay, or anger, a lot of strong emotions. You know, if you died suddenly, a bomb dropped or something, there'd be a lot of lost souls at tragedy sites, because if a bomb drops, it's sudden death. And sometimes I've seen it where souls carry on and they don't even know what they're doing. They don't even know they're dead. Or there might be anguish, a war zone, something terrible, you know. Could be a lot of lost souls there. Now, I have seen on a spiritual level, this is my understanding and my experience, but the likes of Hecate, gods and goddesses, spirits, even not just gods and goddesses, but spirits that are helpers, do try and help or put in more of an effort when something like that goes down, okay? But we can't deny that over the thousands of years that humans have walked this earth, there have been lots of tragedies and lots of things happen, and so we've got a lot of lost souls. Now, I always knew the dead could have attachments too, could have parasitic energy too. I helped move a guy on once that was unalived in my city. He was unalived in like the late 80s. I think I've got a story about this. Long story short, he was strangled, and his spirit he was strangled near a river, and I had to go to this office building near the river, and his spirit followed me home. He wanted help, and yeah, I helped him, but he had a nasty attachment because obviously it's not a nice thing that happened to him, and it had been torturing him, kind of thing, for lack of a better word. His sadness, he couldn't let go. He couldn't move on. It was keeping him trapped. I don't know the full ins and outs as to why such things can exist, but they just do. It's like we have parasites in the physical world. Sadly, it's a thing. So I had to help him move on and then yeet the parasite, essentially. So I always knew it was a thing. But when I went to Chillingham Castle the last time, if you don't know, Chillingham Castle is the most haunted castle in the UK, and it's a spiritual hotspot for lost souls. There's lots of them because a lot of people were unalive there. Let me tell you, it's Parasites Central there. And I personally think that a lot of hotspots like that, haunted places where you see people go paranormal investigating, I don't think you're talking with spirits, as in the people. I think a lot of the time it's parasites, trickster energies, what they might call a demon. You know, when you commonly hear these paranormal investigators say demon house or whatever. I can't stomach watching stuff like that, to be honest, because it's so, to me, it's disrespectful, but each their own. Because it's disrespectful because they kind of just go bumbling in. But I don't think it's speaking with the actual spirits, having connected with some from Chillingham. Yeah, things happened the last time I was there that I just knew it was parasitic. It was parasitic in nature. It was not human. And some of the spirits there essentially showed me how they were struggling to keep it at bay, and asked me to try and help. And then I've had other stuff happen where I haven't been able to help as much as I wanted to this month, being October when I'm filming this. Hopefully this video does come out in October, if not November, knowing me. But yeah, parasites can feed off the pain of the dead, off the sadness, off the anger, off the regrets, just as strong as they do off the living. And this is why in my original Where to Go video, I said about this will affect us all. This nasty energy does affect us all. This false light, false God, whatever energy, where the parasites are a byproduct of, impacts us all. And we've got to do something about it. Now, to end this video, doing something about it, look, I can't and I won't tell you what to believe. Because there is no one right answer, not even my answer. And, you know, I would think, well, that's the right answer. But no, like, you've got to look beyond that. There's good and bad in everything. But what I can tell you, and what Hecate's told me, is to look at yourself and your life and look after yourself and have compassion. Don't let the empathy die. That's what we can do. If we can all do that for each other and our little communities, our little places, you know, if we can all help each other out in that way, we don't all have to share the same religion. We don't all have to share the same belief, but we can show each other compassion. That's what we're lacking. That is ultimately what we're lacking. And if we can just keep going with that, stop tearing each other down so much. I know emotions run high. I know, you know, there's stuff going on in the world as a whole. I don't blame people for having those reactions. I just don't. But if we can try, that's what we need to do, you know. That's my understanding of it, okay? You can go watch the other videos which will tell you more information, but I will say, look, to protect yourself against these things, again, is just trying to have firm boundaries in yourself. A lot of it's practical, having firm boundaries, but having compassion, okay? Recognize when, you know, if you are having influence that is, it's just making you, I don't know, nasty. That's not right. It's just not right. If you are feeling down and you get the little voice in your head saying, well, no one likes you, no one cares about you. Sometimes, yes, it's mental health, it's the inner monologue, but sometimes it's parasitic, making you feel even worse. Just bear it in mind. Be mindful, look after yourself, okay? In a spiritual sense, have regular spiritual baths or showers if you can. I've got videos about all of this. Keep yourself cleansed and protected. Keep your home cleansed and protected, okay? And most importantly, stay safe and stay witchy. That's a good way to end the video, okay? If you like this, hit subscribe, all that jazz. Check out the channel for more. Thanks for being here. Bye.